Have you ever wondered, could the simple act of listening help you master your emotions and shape your character? In a world overflowing with noise, where everyone is eager to speak, focused silence has become one of the most powerful tools we have. And perhaps, what transforms your life isn't what you say, but how deeply you listen. Lesson 1, The Power of Listening. Picture this, a quiet moment. Every word you hear isn't just sound, it's an opportunity to understand, to grow, to connect. In that silence, you aren't just hearing, you're becoming wiser, calmer, more composed. In our fast-paced, distracted world, everyone wants to be heard. People rush to respond, interrupt, prove their point. But ancient Stoic philosophers offered a timeless insight. True listening isn't about waiting to reply, it's about creating space to truly understand. For the Stoics, wisdom was born not in quick reactions, but in patience and self-reflection. You don't need to speak louder to prove your worth. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stay silent and truly listen. The ability to listen without interrupting is more than a polite habit. It's a tool for strength. It helps you stay grounded during irritation, anxiety, or the urge to take control of a conversation. Because when you resist the impulse to judge or interject, something incredible happens. You free your mind from unnecessary tension. You unlock a deeper understanding of others. And you begin shaping your emotions, moment by moment. As you practice this more often, you'll notice real change. Not because the people around you suddenly act differently, but because you are becoming more composed, more centered. Each interaction becomes a quiet opportunity to shape your best self. Remember this. Listening is a form of respect, and also a daily practice of self-control. If you're ready to shift how you connect with others, drop this simple promise in the comments. Today I commit to listening without interrupting. It may seem small, but this one commitment could completely transform how you communicate, and how calm you feel inside. Now let's go deeper. In the next section, we'll explore why listening not only strengthens your relationships, but also changes the way you experience every part of your day. So as we've seen, listening isn't just about respect, it's a powerful tool for shaping who we are. Now let's go further into why this ability, often underestimated, holds the key to deeper understanding and real connection. In today's world, we're flooded with words, opinions, declarations, reactions. They fly at us from every direction. Everyone seems eager to speak, to express, to be heard. And yet, in the middle of all this noise, something far more precious is often overlooked. The quiet, steady power of listening. You see, real listening isn't about simply hearing what someone says. It's about tuning into what they actually mean, their unspoken emotions, their intent, their truth. It's not just your ears at work. It's your mind, your heart, your full attention. But most people don't realize the weight of this act. They underestimate how transformative genuine listening can be, not just for others, but for themselves. Active listening is an art. And like any art, it takes effort, focus, and patience to master. While speaking often reveals who we are to the world, listening allows us to truly understand someone else. It builds trust. It deepens relationships. It sends a quiet but powerful message: you matter. I see you. I hear you. So, why is listening so powerful? Because when we truly listen, we do something rare and beautiful. We give others space. Space to feel heard. Space to feel understood. Space to be themselves without judgment or interruption. It's more than just receiving sound. It's a conscious decision to connect, to learn, to grow. Even the Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, understood this. They believed silence and reflection weren't signs of weakness, but gateways to clarity. To know others, we must first be willing to pause and pay attention. Now think about it. Have you ever been in a conversation where, while the other person was speaking, you were already crafting your reply in your head? Maybe nodding along, but not really listening? That's not uncommon. But that's hearing, not listening. Hearing is passive. It happens without effort. Listening, real listening, is active. It demands presence. It asks for humility. It requires us to put aside our own voice long enough to truly absorb someone else's. Active listening means being fully present. It means asking thoughtful questions. Reflecting on what's being said. Responding not just to reply, but to show you truly understand. It's not waiting for your turn to speak. It's being a genuine witness to what another human is trying to share. And yet, in this modern world of constant notifications and non-stop sharing, it's a skill many of us have lost. We live in a time that rewards loudness. Social media celebrates fast opinions, bold statements, and self-expression. We're encouraged to speak up, stand out, shout louder. But wisdom, real wisdom, often comes from something quieter. It comes from knowing when not to speak, and from the grace of giving someone else the space to be heard. So now that we understand how rare true listening has become, let's go even deeper into why this skill gives you a real edge in both life and relationships. In today's world, mindful, uninterrupted listening is undervalued. We live in a society that rewards visibility and voice, where the loudest often seem to win. But here's a quiet truth. Those who master the art of listening hold a rare, powerful advantage. Because while others are busy talking, listeners are absorbing. They're connecting. They're learning. This is one of the Stoics' most essential and profound lessons. Listening without interrupting is a deep act of humility and respect. It's the recognition that, yes, your opinion matters. But sometimes, the most meaningful thing you can do is step back and fully attend to someone else's truth. When you truly listen, without the urge to correct, interrupt, or fix, you honor another person's experience. You're saying, without words, you have space here. You are worth hearing. It's a gentle reminder that we don't always have to be at the center of the conversation. There is great value in stepping back, silencing our inner dialogue, and allowing others to step forward. But let's be honest, it isn't easy. This kind of listening demands real patience. It requires you to curb the urge to jump in, give advice, or offer a fast solution. It's resisting the temptation to speak just because there's a pause. And yet, if you choose to practice it consistently, it can transform your relationships, both personal and professional. Because true strength isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's the quiet presence in the room that holds the most power. In a world overflowing with noise, those who know when to hush and focus, those who can be fully present, become magnetic. Trusted, respected, remembered. As the Stoics have long taught, self-control and reflection are not only noble traits, they are essential to a meaningful life. And active listening is one of the most powerful tools to develop both. It fosters empathy. It builds trust. It deepens your understanding of others, and yourself. So if this message resonates with you, here's a simple challenge. Next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to speak too soon. Hold back the impulse to finish someone's sentence or jump in with advice. Just be fully present. Watch, listen, let silence do its work. And in the next part, we'll break down how this practice rewires your emotional control and strengthens your inner discipline, as Sam Yun once said. Speak consciously. Listen without interrupting. Be present. Show respect. Then, and only then, speak. If that resonates with you, drop a comment below. Today, I choose to listen more and speak less. And now, let's dive into lesson 2, why do we interrupt? Have you ever caught yourself jumping in before someone finishes their sentence? You're not alone. In fact, it often happens without us even realizing. You're mid-conversation, and instead of truly listening, you're already crafting your response, anticipating their next words, or mentally rehearsing your reply. But have you ever paused to ask, why? Why do we interrupt? It might seem like a harmless habit, but in reality, it can do damage to your relationships, to your personal growth, and to the level of trust others place in you. The truth is, interrupting often comes from deep-rooted impulses, many of which are tied to how we see ourselves and how we want to be seen. One of the biggest reasons? Impatience. We live in a world that thrives on speed. Fast food, fast replies, fast thinking. Waiting feels like a waste. We've been conditioned to believe that if we don't say something now, the moment, and our value, will disappear. That urgency creates anxiety. We start to feel that our thoughts are more pressing, more important, or might lose their power if they're not voiced immediately. Then there's ego. It's not easy to truly accept that someone else's opinion can be just as valid as our own. So we interrupt. We cut in, not just to respond, but to defend, to prove, or to control the direction of the conversation. It's a subtle way of saying, what I think matters more. And of course, there's fear. Fear of not being heard. Fear that if we don't speak now, we'll miss our chance, or worse, we'll lose the spotlight. So we jump in. We derail the natural rhythm of a conversation. We silence voices that may have offered something richer, more thoughtful, more insightful than we expected. Sometimes we interrupt because we assume we already know what the other person is going to say. We think we've heard it all before. We fast forward in our minds, filling in their blanks with our own conclusions. But this kind of false confidence cuts off the opportunity to truly learn, because we're not listening to understand, we're listening to respond. And that, ironically, robs us of growth. Because when we dominate a conversation, we limit what we can receive. It's not just inconsiderate, it's unwise. So what's the first step to changing this habit? To become aware of it. To slow down. To notice your urges. And in those moments, pause. So once we understand why we interrupt, the next step is even more important. Recognizing the moment it happens. Because without awareness, change is impossible. Change doesn't begin with willpower, it begins with noticing. Most of our interrupting habits are so deeply ingrained, so automatic, that we don't realize them until after the fact. We're mid-conversation, someone is speaking, and suddenly we've cut in, again. It's a reflex, a pattern, but once you learn to observe it, you can start to shift it. Start by simply observing your behavior. Ask yourself, do I feel restless while others are talking? Do I feel the urge to speak constantly? Do I become impatient when someone takes time to explain themselves? These aren't flaws. They're signals. And noticing them is the first major step toward growth. A powerful technique to break the cycle? Active listening. It's simple, but not always easy. Instead of planning what you'll say next, place your full attention on what the speaker is saying. Let their message land. Reflect on it. Only then respond. This small shift in focus dramatically improves the quality of your conversations. Why? Because the other person feels truly heard, respected, and valued. You give them space. And in return, the relationship deepens. The Stoics taught this well. They remind us that we can't control what others say or do. But we can absolutely control how we respond. Listening without interrupting is a way to take command of your own emotions. It's an act of discipline. It's a sign of maturity. When you show patience, when you show restraint, you build trust. You build connection. You build your own character. Uninterrupted listening does more than make someone feel good. It broadens your worldview. It helps you see perspectives you would have missed. It sharpens how you think, how you relate, how you lead. So next time you're in a conversation, try this. Consciously listen without cutting in. Let the other person speak until they're done. Pause. Reflect. Then, and only then, reply. You'll notice your conversations shift. They'll become richer, more meaningful, more insightful. And if this message resonates with you, share it with intention. Leave a comment below. Listening transforms me. Because when you commit to listening, you commit to growing. Every word you hear becomes a chance to learn. Every silence becomes a sign of strength. And in the next part, we'll explore how it feels to be interrupted, and the emotional weight of that experience. Understanding this impact helps us become not just better listeners, but better humans. So if being interrupted once can feel discouraging, imagine the impact when it becomes a pattern. Listening might seem like a small gesture, just staying quiet while someone else speaks. But in truth, it's one of the most powerful signs of respect we can offer. A moment of attention, freely given, can mean everything. But interruption, no matter how casual or unintended, carries a far heavier weight than most people realize. It seems minor, almost harmless. But deep down, it cuts. When we're cut off mid-sentence, it doesn't just disrupt the words. It disrupts our confidence, our clarity, and our connection. It sends the message, your voice doesn't deserve space here. And when that happens, our words feel drowned, swallowed up by noise we never invited. We feel smaller, dismissed, unvalued. This isn't just a communication problem, it's a psychological one. Whether in the workplace or personal relationships, the ripple effect is real. Our self-esteem takes a hit. We question whether we should have spoken at all. We begin to second-guess ourselves. And over time, trust begins to erode. Why? Because every strong relationship is built on listening. And interruption breaks that foundation. When someone is constantly cut off, their message gets distorted. Their meaning is lost. The connection weakens. They don't just feel ignored, they feel invisible, overlooked, forgotten. Think back to meetings where no one paid attention when you spoke. Or conversations with friends where you couldn't finish a single sentence. That helplessness, that frustration, it's real. And it's not just about being ignored. It's about being made to feel like your voice lacks value. Now contrast that with active, uninterrupted listening. It's quiet, yes, but it speaks volumes. It silently says, I respect you. Your words matter here. You are safe to speak. That kind of listening builds trust. The unshakable kind where both people feel heard, respected, and open. But constant interruptions? They do the opposite. They wear down communication quality. And in time, can irreparably harm relationships. In the workplace, when a manager constantly cuts off their team, it creates a toxic culture. People stop offering ideas. They feel like shadows, unseen and unheard. Morale plummets. Team performance collapses. Even in close relationships, it's the same. What starts as occasional interruption can grow into emotional withdrawal. People begin to shut down. They share less. They feel disconnected. Because here's the truth. Interruption doesn't just steal a moment, it steals meaning. It says, what I have to say is more important than what you're trying to say. And when that message repeats, trust disappears. So how do we rebuild it? In the next part, we'll explore how mastering the pause, learning when not to speak, can restore trust, repair bonds, and elevate every conversation you have. And if left unchecked, frequent interruptions do more than just break the flow of a conversation. They cause emotional and psychological harm. They foster distance. They plant seeds of resentment. And over time, they quietly erode the trust you've worked so hard to build. Because active listening is the glue of any relationship. It's how trust is created, and how it's kept. When someone feels heard, they also feel respected. And when respect grows, so does trust. But interruptions? They do the opposite. They chip away at that trust, bit by bit, sometimes without you realizing it, until the bond is weakened, or worse, broken. It doesn't always happen overnight. But it's a slow and steady breakdown. One that's avoidable, if we choose to listen with intention. Uninterrupted listening isn't just polite, it's transformative. It opens the door to greater awareness. It sends a message louder than words. I'm here. I see you. I value your voice. The Stoics knew this well. They taught that humility, patience, and empathy are essential virtues. And one of the best ways to practice all three is by listening without cutting in. Because when you pause your own voice to fully hear someone else, you do more than show courtesy. You give a gift. The gift of attention. The gift of space. The gift of being truly seen. And in doing so, you build trust, respect, connection. Speech bubble emoji. If this message resonates with you, take a simple step today. Leave a comment below saying, today I commit to listening without interrupting. Then take notice. Watch how your relationships shift. How conversations feel different, more open, more honest, more alive, when you offer your genuine attention. Lesson 4, The Benefits of Listening Without Interrupting. Have you ever noticed how quickly we tend to react when something touches a nerve, or triggers emotion? Staying silent in those moments? Much harder than it sounds. The urge to speak, to respond, to jump in with our thoughts. It can become so strong that it blocks us from truly understanding what's being said. But here's the truth. There is immense power in uninterrupted listening. It's not just about letting others speak. It's about fostering something deeper. Connection, wisdom, growth. Dare to shift your approach. Dare to see silence not as absence, but as presence. Interrupting is easy. Listening, truly listening, takes strength. In a world that moves fast, silence is your rebellion. When you listen without needing to respond, you become more than just a speaker. You become a presence. Every time you hold back the urge to interrupt, you train your mind. You master your emotions. You show the world, and yourself, that you are in control. So today, give someone the gift of your silence. Let their words land. Let their truth breathe. And watch what happens. Because when you listen deeply, people feel seen. And when they feel seen, they trust. And when they trust, they follow. Be still. Be present. Be powerful. That's the Stoic way.